Chapter 9 One Price for Everybody. Meanwhile, other go-getters were inventing ways to attract the new millions of city customers. The big stores that now grew up in American cities were as different from the little shops in London's West End as the grand new American hotels were different from the modest old world inns. The new American hotels were people's palaces. Anybody could meet his friends in the elegant lobby, or if he had the money, could entertain in a dining room with a crystal chandelier. The new department stores were a buyer's palaces, and they too were democratic. In London, nobody got into the elegant shops unless they looked like gentlemen or ladies, unless the shopkeeper knew who you were. He would not let you in. You had to be a person of quality, as the upper class were called, to see goods of quality. Department stores changed all this. Suddenly there were vast buyers' palaces, some large enough to fill a whole city block, especially designed to display goods of every shape, price, and description. Anybody could walk in. Now everybody could have a close look at elegant jewelry, clothing, and furniture of the kind once reserved for rich men's eyes. Like many other American achievements, this happened quickly. English ways of selling had not changed much in 500 years, but this department store revolution, which began shortly before the Civil War, changed the lives of American customers within a few decades. Stewart's cast-iron palace, completed in 1862 in New York City, was one of the first big department stores. It was the product of two different kinds of go-getters, a businessman and an inventor. A.T. Stewart, the merchant who built up the business, came to the United States from Ireland at the age of 17. He started by selling the Irish laces he had brought with him, but he soon branched out into all kinds of goods. He was a bold, ambitious businessman, and he decided to spend a fortune on an enormous building in an entirely new style. When Stewart decided to build his grand new store, he picked an inventing genius who was sure to try something new. James Bogardus, the man Stewart chose, had started as a watchmaker's apprentice in upstate New York. He first became famous by his new design for an 8-day clock. Then he invented all kinds of new machines, for making cotton thread, for mixing lead paint, for grinding sugar, for metering gas, and for engraving postage stamps. He patented a metal-cased pencil with a lead that was forever pointed. His most important new idea was to construct buildings of cast iron. Bogardus's own 5-story factory, built in 1850, was probably the first cast iron building in America. The building Bogardus built for Stewart overwhelmed everybody at the time. It was so tall, 8 stories. It quickly became famous as the biggest store in the world. Bogardus used cast iron to make an impressive buyer's palace. The outside looked palatial and dignified. Graceful columns held up thin beams. They made a neat repeating pattern like that found in old-world palaces. The molded iron panels from between columns were painted to resemble stone. Fancy cast-iron shapes decorated the window frames. On the ground floor, the outside walls no longer needed to be thick, as they had to be when a tall building was made of stone. Now there could be larger windows on every floor. Slender iron columns held up the high ceiling of display rooms, a city block wide. A grand central staircase and a great rotunda reaching up to the full height of the building made the ground floor even more palatial. A glass roof topped the rotunda, and sunlight streamed through it. You could enjoy long indoor vistas of appealing merchandise. Gloves, umbrellas, suitcases, coats, furniture, all kinds of things in all shapes, sizes, and colors. All the people in the building who were busy looking, buying, and admiring helped make a splendid spectacle. Naturally, the go-getting department storekeepers wanted to display their goods to everybody who walked down the street. The thin cast-iron building frames made this easier, but it would not have been possible without a new kind of window. Before the age of the department store, glass was expensive. Windows had to be small. They admitted a little daylight, and they let you look out. But then, not long before the Civil War, an Englishman invented an inexpensive way of rolling out glass in large sheets. These large sheets of glass now at last made possible the show window. Americans invented this new expression for the new kind of window that was made to look into. Now the goods could advertise themselves. In a store where thousands of customers were buying and hundreds of people were selling, other things had to change. The old way of selling goods was for the storekeeper to bargain with each customer separately. He did not mark a price on the goods. Instead, he asked from each customer the highest price he thought he could get. This price depended upon how rich he thought the customer was, on how much he thought the customer wanted the goods, and on how anxious he was to make a sale at that time. You could never be sure in advance how much you would have to pay. If you were a good bargainer, you could always get it for less, but bargaining took time. It did not suit Americans in a hurry. The big department store brought the age of the fixed price. A.T. Stewart's cast iron palace employed 2,000 people. Stewart himself could not know all his sales clerks. How could he let them bargain for him? At Stewart's, then, everything carried a price tag. Everybody could see the price, and it was the same price for all. When you went shopping now, you could no longer get your fun from bargaining, but you got a better value, and there were new experiences to enjoy, like looking at all the elegant things you could not afford. The department store was a new, very American, and very democratic kind of entertainment where the admission was always free.